Hello, everybody, and welcome to Taking Control, the ADHD podcast on rashpixel.fm. I'm Pete Wright, and that over there is Nikki Kinzer.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Pete Wright.
Hello, Nikki Kinzer.
How are you?
I'm great this morning for so many reasons. First of all, the sun is shining. It is a gorgeous day. We are no longer confined to the doom and gloom of our season, and spring is springing. My grass is growing, needs to be mowed.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a lot of good in the air. Allergies are kicking up again a little bit. Allergies are kicking up. I'm running again. My knees hurt. You know. But overall, it's very good.
But
overall,
it's still
very
a really good day.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited for the spring weather too, and actually, my family purchased something last week. So it has been a lifelong bucket list item for my husband to have a ski boat. And I'll tell you, from the minute I seriously, literally within the first month that I dated my husband, he has always talked about a ski boat. So you ask him, what do you want for your birthday? Oh, I want a boat. What do you want for Christmas? I want a boat. So the boat is always on his list. It has been every single year. We've been married for 17 years. We were together a year before that. So for the last 18 years, a boat has been on his list. He grew up on the water, and it's his happy place. It's his peace. It's his place where he goes to find peace, right? And so you'll never find my husband happier than on the water. And there's
just about nothing that I would like to do less than be on a boat on a lake somewhere. Oh my goodness.
Gosh. Not for him.
Massive anxiety. Oh.
Yeah, no, he loves it. And for years, we kind of would go back and forth on if we could afford it and should we do this, should we not do that. And
very frugal, your husband, very frugal.
He is. And so we did it the smart way. We went to our financial advisor and, checked
asked them to buy you a boat. Okay. Oh, I see.
Can we do this and not be stupid about it? And we can. It's just that, we're not getting the boat that we want. We're getting a very used boat. But that's okay because it serves the needs, right? You can pull it behind a car. You can put it in the water. You can ski on it. You can fish on it. So there's all these great things about it. So, it's not
pretty much if it stays afloat. I call that a massive win.
But yeah, it's not a fancy boat, but yeah. I got to tell you, there's a picture of my husband on the water with this boat because he showed it to us. Like, this is the boat we're buying. And I mean, his smile is just from ear to ear. He is so happy. And one of the things that the financial advisor said that I just was so right on is he said, the time is now. The time is now for you guys. Do this. Your kids are at great ages. Jaden my 15-year-old son can help my husband with the boat and towing it and helping him, because the point is why I want to share this story more than anything is my husband has MS and we don't know what his future is going to look like. And, he struggles with it. And so this is something that, when the financial advisor says the time is now, I really felt like you're right. The time is now. This is what we know, and we can do it right now for the next, at least 3 to 4 years, hopefully. And, so we did it. So I was really just touched by the whole experience. Yeah. And so this weekend is the first weekend that we're going to be taking the boat out. And so Saturday, he's going to take the boat out with with my son and some of his friends. And then on Sunday for Mother's Day, it will just be the 4 of us. It'll just be the family. And it's going to be a time to celebrate. And I'm really excited.
What is the body of water?
A lake.
Just any random lake.
I have no
You don't
idea.
know.
We live in the Eugene, Springfield area in Oregon. There's lots of lakes around us. I don't know which one we're going to go to. So
okay. Roll the dice.
It's not like it's right down the street, but we have a river that's right down the street. But I don't think we're going to take the ski boat on a river. So.
That seems like a horrible idea. Yeah. I don't care for it. Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, it's a really touchy moment to see, somebody you love so much be able to check something off of their bucket list and and, just to do it, to just, let's do this.
Good for you.
So
good for you. Good for him. I'm glad he's so happy. And stay away from any lake monsters or any sentient foams.
And we'll be inviting you on the boat.
That would be very dark.
Obviously, you don't.
I would be very grim. No, I would be not a good candidate.
Oh, that's funny. So anyway, yes, that's
well, what an appropriate way to start. We're talking about rewards today. We're talking about reward systems, and do rewards really work for ADHD? Maybe a leading question. I don't know. We'll have to find out. Before we dig in, head over to takecontroladhd.com. You can get to know us and the show a little bit better. You can listen right there on the website or subscribe to our mailing list, and we'll send you an email each time a new episode is released. Oh, and we just updated our privacy policy, so you can know exactly what we do with your email address. Look at how aware we are of the new European privacy stuff. We've done that.
We're on top of it.
We're on top of it.
We are on top of this.
You can connect with us on Twitter or Facebook at Take Control ADHD. And for those of you who have already done so, thank you so much for supporting this show and what we are trying to do here on Patreon. Patreon.com is such a fantastic way to support the creators that you love, the podcasts, the YouTube channels, the writers, the artists. It is a way that you can show them your love through just a small donation each month. We have our page up at patreon.com/the ADHD podcast, and every donation that you make helps us grow the show, continue to do things that we're trying to do to support and help support and contribute to the ADHD community. So thank you in advance, those who have already contributed. For those who haven't, if we've touched you in the last 7-8 years we've been doing this show, head over to patreon.com again /the ADHD podcast and join us. If you were to do that, you would be able to join us live and listen to and watch us on our YouTube live stream as we're recording the show each week. And we really love it. It's one of my favorite things to do every single week. So thank you again for helping us out. Okay, rewards and ADHD. Nikki, where did this come from?
Well, this actually came from the Patreon ADHD podcast Facebook group. It was a conversation that was being had. And, I went back to try to find it last night when I was prepping for the show today, and I can't find it. It's buried. It's buried in conversation, so I can't remember exactly
Facebook.
How it got. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly how it got started or exactly what was contributed. I just remember saying, "Oh, this would be a really good podcast idea." And they were all like, "Yeah, that's a great idea." So that's where it was inspired, and it was interesting because I actually threw the question out to the Facebook group and got some really great additional ideas to add to this podcast. So they are helping out with some of the solutions, which is cool. But before we get to that, I thought we could talk a little bit about why we would use a reward system, because it may sound a little weird to people, right? Because they're thinking, well, you use rewards for children, but why would you do it for adults? And that's what I think is important to understand, is that's how ADHD gets put into it all of a sudden. Because if you think about your ADHD, you're going to be naturally attracted to doing the things that you're most interested in. And the things that you're not interested in, you're going to avoid, right? We know that. Mm-hmm. And so when you put a reward system in place, it's a strategy. It's a strategy on helping your mind get a little bit more engaged and excited about the thing that you don't want to do. So the reward can actually, again, help you get started, right? Because that's an executive function that we're struggling with. And it also takes away the negative of approaching the task. Because if you think about, oh, I've got to, mop the floor today, and that sucks. But what this does is when you put a reward, it kind of takes the negative out of it and puts a positive spin to it, right? So that's a good thing. That's a positive thing. Rewards can also keep you motivated along the way, because if you know that you've got the little carrot kind of dingled, as you're doing something, it'll keep you motivated to keep doing it. And what I like best about rewards is it actually acknowledges the effort that you're putting into something. And I think that that's something that many ADDers forget to do. A lot of times we focus on what's left. We're focusing on what we didn't do, but we're not focusing on what we did do. So
Mm-hmm.
these rewards can definitely help you shine a light on something that maybe you're not paying attention to. Now, do they always work? That's a loaded question.
Yeah. How
What
do you,
think?
well, I have, my challenges with rewards are, well, I guess twofold. First of all, I tend to adjust or adapt to my own reward systems pretty quickly. And that becomes a problem because I'll start either expecting it or eventually I'll just start circumventing the work and cheating my way out of the work in order to get to the reward more quickly. Yeah. And so I find in order to get around that, I have to change up my reward system pretty often. Like I need a new thing. I need a new thing to enjoy, a new thing to or I need to make that thing so out of reach that I'm only going to get it, in a very rare circumstance. Like one does not just go to Disneyland every Friday,
No, unless you live in Pasadena and you have like an annual pass.
Yeah,
you might go, but that's a rarity.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So,
well, and I like your idea of the thought of changing it up, because I think that not only changing it up can make it more successful, but also what reward goes to kind of what task too. It's like that can change a little bit depending on what you're doing. I would say that it doesn't always is such a it's such a definite word, or what is that when you have like those words that always never, it's like there's no option.
It's a hyperbolic word, right? I mean, it's like it's binary. It was our binary language conversation.
Yes. So I think to say that it's always going to work is not a fair, of course it's not always going to work.
Right.
But I think that what I want people to look at is that when it does work and they're seeing that success, then you know what, that's a good thing. So even if you're trying it and it doesn't work all the time, just a little bit of progress is what we're looking for. It doesn't have to be perfect every single time. So to set it up more for success with your ADHD, we have to think about the reason. First of all, the reason that you're putting this reward in place, and that is really to help you engage into the task. So we want to make it more interesting. Otherwise, it will get ignored. So do definitely remember the motivation of why you're putting this reward in place. And for it to really work, I think more times than not, you want to receive the reward while you're actually doing the task, not after. Because there's this instant gratification that we want. And ADHD lives in the now. We're not living in the later, and later may not mean anything to you. So even though you've attached something at the end of doing something, it may not be good enough for you to still do it, just to get that reward. But if you're getting the reward while you're doing the task, it makes it a little bit more engaging. Does that make sense?
It does. How do you reward yourself? And you don't live with ADHD, but you live with ADHD. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I know what I mean.
What do you do? What do you do to reward yourself?
Well,
what are your favorites?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I do. And this is specifically for house cleaning, because I hate house cleaning. And I'm very resentful of it. Just throw that out there. It's like, it just makes me mad. So what I'll do is I will listen to a podcast that, while I'm doing my house cleaning. And I usually try not to listen to ones that are around ADHD or that are around business. And that's just because I am trying, when I'm cleaning the house, it's either on a Saturday or a Sunday, and I kind of need to block away that, because then I'm learning and I want to write stuff down, and then I'm thinking about my business, and then I'm pretty much just working. And so I want to listen to something that's funny, something that's more entertaining. I started listening to Dax Shepard's podcast.
He's funny.
He's funny. He was, I was listening to the one where he interviews his wife, Kristen Bell, and it was really entertaining. And
she's funnier.
She is. She's really funny. Their relationship is funny.
I know.
So, to me, that was like something that was enjoyable, and I could, get the house cleaned. I also do it in sections, so that like, if I do one little section, then I will reward myself with time to, I don't know, take a break and do something. Like I do purposely think about, if I get this done, then I'm going to get this. And it's usually wrapped around, a break, some kind of break. that I want during that day. I also like fresh flowers, and that's one of my ideas
Mm.
for people to reward yourself. I love fresh flowers. I love wildflowers.
Yeah.
And we have right now we've got they're starting to the seeds are starting to come up. So I would say, we have a couple months left, but they're coming. And that is something I absolutely love to reward myself with. So, but yeah, I mean, it could be anything really. What about you?
It's usually media related. If I take a break, I have a list of fairly rigorously curated YouTube channels that I follow, and some YouTube creators that I really adore their work. And so, these are all, I try to keep this list of 5 to 10 minute videos that I catch up on, daily creators, people who are constantly churning things out that I like. And I will work, and then I will say to myself, okay, self, go over to YouTube, check out some new video. And the hardest part that I have is that the algorithms on these services, YouTube, Facebook, are ridiculously good at keeping you there, keeping you watching. So I have to turn off all the autoplay stuff, or else I just accidentally watch 2 or 3 of them, and then my whole day is burned. And so, I really try to keep it, keep it locked into just one, and I need it to stop. But I have this nice couch behind me that I go and I'll sit down on my couch, and I have this big screen on the wall that I can tilt, and then I'll turn my lights to something, really kind of nice and media related. And then all of a sudden I'm watching a video and I have 10 minutes where my context is totally shifted, right? Where I'm now in a totally different mindset, a different space. And it feels like a reward. It feels like a legitimate break, and my head is out of that space, whatever I was working on. And right now I'm producing an audiobook, and it is really difficult work right here. And so I definitely need these breaks. Yeah, it's hard. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The other thing that just popped into my mind is that again, I go back to housework because it's just something that I dread. Once I get to a point where I feel like I've done enough, then I will take the rest of the afternoon and evening off without feeling guilty.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, I'm done. Like I did what I
it...
needed to do, and now I'm going to go watch movies all night, and that's okay.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. I don't do that. I go through swings where I don't do that well enough, where the reward of not working, I lose the sort of the little dopamine push, right? That is, you've worked a long day. Right. It's enough to be done, right? And I don't do that very well. And I think part of it is because my office is in my home, and part of it is, just that I lose track of the list, or when I'm hyper focusing on the list itself, getting too much joy out of checking off boxes. I struggle with that. So. It's one of those things I have to remind myself. This is where, we were talking earlier about the importance of an accountability partner, importance of somebody who can help you step in and observe that which you cannot observe yourself.
Right.
So.
And I mean, just that little, or that text message will just say, hey, you know what? Give yourself a break.
Yeah. My wife does it. Usually I spend so much time with the headphones on, I can't hear what's going on outside my house. And so sometimes I'll get this little tap on my shoulder, and my wife comes in and says, so I'm going to start cooking dinner, and I would love your company. I have a glass of wine and ready for you. And so it's out on the counter, and she'll like lure me out of my office with it, and so it's very sweet. But
I would like you to join me for dinner.
I just, you don't, she'll sweeten the deal. She'll say, I'm going to start cooking dinner. And I'll tell you what, you don't even have to do anything but sit down at the table and drink your wine and watch me cook. And that is a reward in and of itself, after the end of a busy day. So.
Yeah, that's neat. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, so we got some great ideas actually from the Patreon group, because I asked for their ideas, like what are some things that help them with rewards. And I wanted to share some of the things that they said. And this actually, the first talk about is definitely in sync with wanting that instant gratification, like let's have that reward now. Mm-hmm. And she was talking about Gretchen Rubin, who, as the listeners know, I've talked about Gretchen Rubin before because she's the author of The Happiness Project.
Yes.
And love her work. And so it says, let's see. Gretchen Rubin writes about the concept of rewards or treats in Better Than Before. In my opinion, the best rewards are those that are built into the habit or task. So, for example, the reward for exercising is better health, increased energy, or the reward for tidying up is satisfaction of being orderly. It's best to avoid rewards that can defeat or sabotage a goal, like overindulging in food or shopping. And rewards are such a personal thing that I think people should experiment with what drives their productivity.
One of the things that on that point, a reward that I guess I'm trying to connect 2 points here, and I hope I do it okay. I tell you, I have trouble stopping work, and I need an accountability partner to come and tell me, hey, it's time to stop gently. It's time to move forward. And one of the things I noticed, particularly when writing, and I can't remember where I got this. It was Charles Dickens or Edgar Allan Poe or maybe Stephen King on writing, his book on writing, which was brilliant. The trick is to always stop when you know what the next sentence is that you're going to write. Like when you know what the next beat is, but you haven't written it yet, always end your session then, because you'll come back to it in a place where you're energized. And so, we've talked about the book that I'm now editing. That's exactly what I tried to do, tried to instill this new habit, which is I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing next, but now's a good time to stop because I'm confident in what I'm going to write next. I'll be able to stop, or I should say, I'll be able to start, with some fluidity, with some motion. It won't be hard to start. So I've been trying to do that with work too, right? Like if I'm in the middle of a project, I might try and stop at a point where I know what the next thing is that I need to do, but I can start tomorrow morning, right? I can start, I know what it is. I'll be able to jump in motion. And the act of stopping, but having confidence that I know what I'm going to do next is a real, it's a nice boost.
So my question for you then is, do you remember like where to start now? Like, do you remember what you were going to write? Like, is there any issue with forgetting?
Oh God, I would absolutely forget if I didn't write it down. No, I put it in.
Okay. So you write
I make a note.
down,
I make a note.
Then you
yeah.
read.
Yeah. Start with, and just a couple of words.
And then when you come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I would be a basket case if oh my God, no, I would always forget. Always forget. Now with work, it's actually easier because I already have the tasks broken down in Todoist in this case. So I know where I'm going to start next because it's already there. Like I see it. But no, with writing, I would forget. I have to make a note. This character does this thing. So, yeah.
Okay. Right.
That's a great question. I'd be
because
paralyzed.
I just know with my own writing, like if I get into the groove of something and then I think I like what you're saying is I know what the next sentence is going to be, or I know what my next point is. Mm-hmm. If I was to leave, I would be so afraid that I would lose it. So, but you're saying no, you're still writing it down.
Just make a note. You write it down. You're just not.
It makes it easier.
Yes.
To come back in. I'm going to try that because I had some writer's block last week with. I do a blog post about once a month, not much because I focus most of my content on the podcast, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. This is my number one priority, but I do like to write, I think. I don't know. Last week I didn't like to write, but it was really hard. But I'm going to try that next time because I think that might make it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
To get started again when you're not just, when you haven't just written one thing all together. So
it takes practice. It really takes practice, right? To do that and start feeling good about it. But I noticed at the end of this, when I finished the first draft of the book, I was feeling really good. I was feeling really good about just the rhythm that I was able to get into. And I experienced that sort of paralytic of writer's block far less. And I just sort of changed the language in my head. Like, I think I got this from the Chicago Sun-Times writer, Andy Anatko, who says, there's no such thing as writer's block when you're a professional writer, content creator. There's just crappy writing. Like it's possible that you just have to keep writing and not be very happy with it. But if you're paid to create, you still have to do it. And I've always liked that. I mean, there's a certain bit of suffering involved in the craft, but there's suffering involved in every job.
Right.
So.
good.
Yeah.
All
What
right.
else?
Well, I have some more ideas.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
A sticker chart is something that a couple of my clients have used in the past. One in particular uses it as here's your tasks that you're going to do Monday through Friday. And then every time she does it, she puts a sticker on there so she can see, what her progress is and what's been done and not done. I had a professor that I worked with who grading was a real, hard thing for her. It was very difficult. And so she put a piece of paper in front of her, and every time she got done grading like a set of paper, she'd put a little star on the paper.
Mm-hmm.
And so so this paper of stars were starting to accumulate. And so there's that little bit of dopamine that comes up that's, hey, look at, good job.
Yeah,
like you
right.
visually see
you're
doing something.
I think people underestimate the power of things that ultimately, or that might otherwise be considered childish, right? A sticker chart is something I did for my 5-year-old's reading goal every day. But you know what? It actually feels pretty good when I do it for myself. When I have boxes to check off, or, gold stars actually mean something in the back of your head, right? It's in your heart. That's important.
Well, and I think this type of reward is that visual too. You can actually see your progress.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really important because, again, we don't focus enough on the progress that we've made. We focus too much on what's not done. So,
and at the end, you can go buy a car because you're an adult.
Yeah.
You don't have to just,
or a boat.
Or a boat.
Buy a boat.
Like this, the sticker chart better be long. Really long.
All right. Yeah. So I love this comment. A popsicle on Fridays work.
Yep.
It's awesome. Like, who doesn't like a popsicle?
Right? Again,
right?
Sticker charts and popsicles.
It's great.
I'm all in.
Yeah. All in. Next comment, she says it varies. Sometimes it's a walk. Sometimes it's a show I like, which is kind of like me. That's what I tend to do. Sometimes it's coloring. Unless it's a big long-term goal or project, I keep my rewards small and choose day to day. Big things are planned well in advance and usually tie into the project or goal. So, for example, a new outfit when I lose 50 pounds. Mm-hmm. But I have many rewards, like not many, MANY, but MINI rewards on the way, which I think is key because, especially when you're trying to live a healthier lifestyle. Yeah, it's great to say you're going to go shopping once you hit your goal weight, but you've got to have something in between,
mm-hmm.
To help you keep
it's
going.
It's just too long.
Yeah. And I personally don't think the scale is the way to get that reward. Because some people may say, well, when you lose 5 pounds, that's the reward. I'm like, yeah, I don't agree with that. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. And then next one, this was good. I like to negotiate the reward with my husband, usually going out of town or out of state to my favorite restaurants.
Awesome.
Noma, Florida has 0 places to eat, and the best big town of Esto can provide is the Hunt Brothers Pizza at the Exxon station. Now, who wouldn't want to go to Hunt Brothers Pizza at Exxon?
Because you know what you could do is you could get a slushie and some pizza. I call that a reward. So
yeah,
not for nothing, but different strokes for different folks is all I'm saying.
That's right. Those came from some of our listeners, so I love that. Thank you guys so much for contributing. It's great to hear what people are doing. Yeah. I think the key takeaway here is just have fun, experiment, and just see kind of what works for you. There was another comment that somebody had said, well, I forget about the rewards. I forget to do the rewards. And I think that that's actually probably more common than not. And so I would encourage people to think about, what are some of the things that might motivate you, write those down. Have them in front of you, and keep practicing and seeing what works. I think we did talk about this when we talked about organizing your strategies. There's a podcast. We'll have to find it and put it in the notes, show notes, about how to kind of organize all of the different ADHD tools and strategies that you learn. Mm-hmm. Having a place you can go when you need it, something, maybe you're struggling with something, right, and you can go to this one place and say, okay, look, this worked and this this was a good idea. And that's something that I would encourage the rewards to go into, is some kind of your ADHD toolbox per se, because, that is something that could easily get forgotten, and we want to keep that in front of you.
Front of mind. Keep it on a whiteboard right in front of your computer. Things that you like to do with yourself. This is great. For me, it's that rewards do work, but it, again, like all of this stuff, especially with ADHD, it takes practice to build these habits. And it's weird to even say that it takes practice and intention to treat yourself well, right? Mm-hmm. Like this is a calorie burning event, is treating yourself well and doing it without shame and judgment that you haven't done enough. And be kind to yourself.
That's right.
Be kind to yourself.
There you go.
All right. This is great. Thank you, everybody, for downloading and listening to this show. We sure appreciate your time and your attention. On behalf of Nikki Kinzer, I'm Pete Wright, and we'll catch you next time right here on Taking Control, the ADHD podcast.